Why are we always trapped in caves? Hey guys, Jeff here with Ghost Knight Gaming, and this is Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster. We are currently in Semite Falls, and we are currently trying to find some prisoners for our friend out there, Joseph. Or at least, we want him to be our friend. But we're going to have to find some people first, otherwise they're not going to give us anything. So we're going to go do that. We're still working on a variety of things like leveling spells, fighting guys, just general hanging about. Once you get to a certain point with the build-up, unless you're doing very extreme stuff, or basically how I do it with them fighting each other, you kind of hit a roadblock where you don't get a whole heck of a lot until the enemies get tougher, and it can take a bit before they get too tough to really kind of push your stats forward. So it can be a bit of work. And if you were trying to go to certain places, you'll find yourself in a little bit of trouble. So we're kind of trying to go in between, I guess, and try to find our way forward, progress a bit, but don't get too crazy, I guess. I do have to work on some spells, though, once more spells come in, so that we're not going to waste any time on doing. We're going to do that as fast as possible so that we can have those. So some of the spells that all three of them are going to have are going to be the healing, reviving, and removing status ailments, because all of those are essential to us getting anywhere at this point. Because once you start getting into the later stuff, there's more and more status ailments that are going to happen, and we're going to need to be able to defend ourselves from that. So I don't want to, and this is something I learned in my last playthrough of the game, of, you need to have it at a certain level for it to cure different types of status ailments. So we just cannot be kind of just waiting on that and hoping or trying to do that way. We have to be proactive about raising those spells. Otherwise, you're going to be in a spot where you're going to be dealing with a lot of status ailments and have no way to get rid of it. Unless I buy a lot of items, which I'm not very good at either. So we're going to go the spellcasting route. We're going to be prepared, is what we're going to be. That's all we can do. And every little bit helps, right? So chance. No, just Minwu's strength. So Minwu is the only one that seems to be low enough, because I think it for the stat that you're using, so strength in the case of fists, they compare your strength to the strength of the enemies you're fighting, I believe, and then that gives you a percentage chance of it to go up after every fight, right? So if you did a thing that works towards it, it gets a check, but the check is a percentage based, depending on what stat did you effectively use, and what your stat is compared to theirs, something like that. If I'm wrong, feel free to explain it in the comments below, because I've tried to read up on it and understand how it works, and it's kind of hit or miss. Alright, so that was a no-go there. I'm pretty certain these guys are magic only, so we're just going to get her to do that, because she's the only one that I gave spells to. So, good old slimes, flans, all that fun stuff, yeah. Definitely fire magic. Alright, perfect. So in theory, some stuff will still go up even if they are lower than you, but the progress will be considerably slower, and it'll continue to slow down the more your stats go up. So you don't necessarily want to try to push that, because otherwise you sit here grinding forever. The only thing that'll keep going up is your MP and your there we go. So there's a strength boost, your MP and your HP, which is fine. It just makes it even harder for stuff to level. So it's a balancing act, I suppose. Sometimes I don't care. I just try to do whatever. But yeah, it takes a little bit of work to kind of figure it out or balance it out, or just be okay with, you know, it's going to take a while for the other things to level up and just have stupid amount of hit points so you can survive the early part of the game without any trouble. Because it doesn't actually take long to build up hit points, especially once you start building up some of your attack skills. Because if you look at these guys, like, I'm going to go punch Guy for how much ever damage. You know, and even if it doesn't go any higher for now, it's still 146 damage, so I only need to hit him like a couple more times. And even then, I probably don't have to hit him a couple more times, and his hit points are going to go up. So, wham, bam, hit points go up, and you're able to do that. And you can do that very, very quickly, because generally, your stamina, or on the or your magic in the case of your spellcasting, those go up. Your magic going up will take longer and longer and much longer as you go. So that one could take quite a bit, but hit points, I wouldn't worry about hit points. Those you can build up quite quickly. So, gives you an opportunity to, oh, there we go. Both of them finally had it go up a bit. And I think, which is funny because Furion smacked him, so there we go. Spirit for her. No hit point increase, but that's okay. Oh, hey. Help us, please. Help us, please. Help us. Help us. Furion, it's you. What are you doing here, Paul? Am I ever glad you're here? This is Joseph's daughter, Nellie. I think that dastardly Borgin has been holding her hostage to threaten Joseph. Princess Hilda told you to bring her back some Mithril, right? Well, that's normally where I step in. I figured out that this was where the Mithril was coming from easy enough, so I thought I'd get the jump on you guys and nab the Mithril before you could get here. Only, I messed up and got caught. Me, of all people. Well, I know when I'm in over my head, so long. Oh. But don't worry, I'll take everyone here with me. Thanks for saving us. I owe you one. Wait, I want to talk to Joseph's daughter. Alright, so this would be a great time to have teleport. So, normally we could just keep going and just go get the Mithril, I think. But we might actually have to go back. Because you can go further down and find it, I think. But you might not be able to mine it without Joseph. So what we might do is we might actually just back out and exit. And hopefully we've earned enough money to get teleported. And then I can start working on using that. Because that one is a hard one to level. You could use it in combat to actually target enemies, and that's actually probably the best way to put some levels on it for your own benefit. Just so that way you can use it to get out. But I also don't know if it needs more than one level, so I don't know if I can go down yet. And I'd actually rather not go all the way down for nothing. So... we have a better idea of where to go. Just getting ourselves back out. And this is why I would like to get teleport, which is very interesting that they give us teleport as early as they do. Because there's a lot of other ones that don't give us teleport for quite a ways in, and generally then you're stuck trying to find your way back out of a dungeon. And I think that's probably one of the biggest time sinks in some of the RPGs of the era, is you know, is trying to get out of the dungeon and spending all that time going in. Alright, just looking at something really quickly. You know what? We will keep going down. Maybe we'll see what we can find down here. If we can't find the Mithril, that's okay. I need the money and the experience anyway, or quote-unquote experience. That's the other kind of the other weird thing. This is a game that, because it doesn't have traditional levels, it's very interesting. How we did for money? 228. All right, so that's cool. Okay with that, because we almost have enough to buy. So each of those scrolls is 1,000. So if I wanted to at least buy 3 life scrolls, I could do that pretty soon here. I don't know how much longer I'm going to want her to do this before I want to reserve some of her MP. But we've basically been saving all of Minwu's, so he'll be our healer should we need it. Her, I just want to work on her stuff. So the more spells she knows, the better. Or the strength of her spells, more specifically. So, because we need access to better shops to get more spells anyway. But if some of her spells are good, then yay, go us. These guys can get one more punching level. That would be pretty good for this area. Shell should be close to leveling. I've used it a few times. No, not quite yet. It moves almost. Strength is going up just fine. It'd be nice if he'd share some of that progression. There we go, and punching those. So, for anybody that's unfamiliar, so the original release of Final Fantasy II and Final Fantasy III, which will be the next on our Final Fantasy playthroughs, were both released on the NES with the with Final Fantasy I. However, the big difference there is that Final Fantasy II and III never saw North American releases on the NES. As far as they were concerned, they didn't think there was any interest and didn't bother, or whatever the story is. There's lots of stories and potential misinformation on exactly what happened then. So, but either way, whatever the actual story is, they didn't release it here. So we never got to try these out in their original form. I wouldn't mind actually finding if there's fan translations of these and trying them out. I'd love to get an actual straight up port. These are nice, but to see them as they were would have been really neat. I know it wouldn't have been anything quote unquote impressive because it's basically Final Fantasy I graphics from the original NES Final Fantasy I. So nothing is overly complicated. These guys don't look super unique or anything like that, but it's still fascinating to see how these mechanics and some of the other stuff that they added to these two games would have looked at that time. So like, we didn't see a version of Final Fantasy II until they started re-releasing some of the early games. So there's Final Fantasy Origins on PS1, there's Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls on the GBA, and so on and so forth. So many other releases, like Final Fantasy 1 has been re-released a dozen times, you know, dozens of ports and remakes and remasters. You know, probably one of the best versions of it to play is probably the PSP version of Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 2, because they're really, really good versions of this. But yeah, like, just seeing what they did, and like the fact that they started adding more story and all of that in these later games, like the keyword system, the leveling system, and this leveling system would get used again in some other releases during the Super Nintendo era, and that would be Final Fantasy Legend 2 initially. They did a different system for Legend 1, and Legend 3 was very traditional Final Fantasy as far as its leveling system. They had levels, they earned experience, and they leveled up that way. You could learn spells or grab spell books. There was a whole stuff going on there. Eventually I'll play those at some point. Either on Twitch or on my YouTube channel. I think I did do a playthrough of Final Fantasy 3, Legend 3, years ago. But Final Fantasy 2, Legend 2, was the first game after Final Fantasy 2, so interesting that. Quite the choice there. That actually had this system, this type of leveling system, where you leveled up by using skills and weapons and stuff like that for the appropriate abilities, and they would go up by stats and taking damage, but it raised your hit points and so on and so forth. So you did all of that way. Now, if you don't know, Legend 1, 2, and 3 are known as Saga in Japan. Why they renamed them Final Fantasy, I think, was more for taking advantage of Final Fantasy was getting popular. Final Fantasy 4 and 6 were quite popular. Mystic Quest did quite well. Well-ish, I suppose. I don't know if it actually did well. I should look into that. But so Final Fantasy 4, Mystic Quest, and all that kind of stuff did well. You know, or at least brought Final Fantasy to North America in a way that the Final Fantasy 1 didn't quite do. So they went with a name thing, and well, it's also a Japan thing, Japan to North America thing. If you go through all these different series over the years, and like the Mana games are a different name in Japan, and so on and so forth. Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior, renamed different things. Sometimes it's licensing, sometimes it's just choices, I guess. But anyway, my long-winded explanation of this very thing is this game brought the Saga games to life now. Depending on who you talk to, like it's a good or a bad thing. I think it's an interesting thing, and I do need to play more of the Saga franchise. I've only played a couple of them, and we'll eventually be doing stuff like that. I do Series Sunday on my Twitch channel, where I play through the entirety of various series. As I'm recording this video right now, I'm currently playing through Breath of Fire. So if you want to see all of that, of course, you know, shameless plug, check me out over on Twitch if you want to see a lot of live playthroughs of a variety of RPGs from throughout gaming. I play all of them as much as I can. There we go. Protect leveled up again. Minwu's just going to be as strong as we are with no trouble here. We're about to go down these stairs and see what's down here. We'll fully explore this area next time, but until then, if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe, give the video a like, check me out over on Twitch if you want to see with me, hang out with me live, and listen to me ramble like a crazy person, like I'm doing right now. But stay tuned for more Final Fantasy 2, other Final Fantasy games, Let's Plays, top 10 videos, tips and tricks videos, and as always, have fun keep gaming, and I will see you guys again next time.